Welcome, everybody. So glad that you're here. We have this is a fun one and should be very practical for everybody. But we are going to explore the art of the handwritten note. This could be a lost art in the digital age, but there's some of us keeping it alive, and hopefully after today, we'll revive it all the more. Here's just a quick overview of where we're going to be going with the content this morning. Been doing a little guest check-in. So if you haven't done so, change your name on Zoom. Let us know your name and what organization that you are representing today. We'll explore what the handwritten note can be used for, why it's so impactful. We'll give some helpful hints, and we always do some question and response. So if you got questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. We're also going to ask, what is your top takeaway, most valuable takeaway, or what idea are you going to implement the soonest? And then we have a few things that we'll share with you that are coming up. And today we have a guest with us, the expert at the handwritten note, Ashley Simpson with Cavett Kids. She's executive director. Ashley, welcome to the 47-minute webinar. We're
Thanks
grateful
for having
you're here.
me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell us real quick about Cavett Kids and what you guys are up to? Oh, we may have froze up.
Kids Foundation.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, is it back?
Yep, you're back.
Okay. I'm the executive director of the Cavett Kids Foundation here in Oklahoma City. We serve kids from all across the state of Oklahoma who've been diagnosed with a chronic or life-threatening illness. And we basically do normal childhood fun for them with the safety of medical care. So we have 8 different camps throughout the year, lots of programming to keep them engaged, but really building a support network for them and their families, and then allowing them to have fun safely.
All right.
Hey, and I got to tell you something before we go on. When we first started talking about sharing this topic with our audience, there was no doubt in my mind who we needed to have on here. And here's what I'm going to show you. I don't know how well you can see that. Oh, the backgrounds. But this is a handwritten note from Ashley Simpson at Cavett Kids. And it came in a nice matching envelope. But when it comes to the handwritten note, this is not academic for Ashley. I don't know. I get the feeling it must be an everyday practice. So I can't wait to hear some of what you're going to share with us, Ashley.
Thank you.
Well, let's jump in. Ashley, what are some of the different ways that you use handwritten notes? I mean, you've sent one to Kent. I've received one from you. And we've heard lots of stories, but do you have a system? Do you improvise? What's your approach to the handwritten note?
Yeah. So for me, the handwritten note, it's a weekly practice. It becomes natural to you. It's easy, and it is so effective, especially in the nonprofit field. I think most people could agree that you get so much mail, right? And it's junk. You have no interest in opening it. You set it on the counter, shred it, whatever you do. I know some of my friends don't even check their mailbox for weeks because they said nothing comes in there. But how fun if you have a cute envelope, something going through that looks special, and it says, "Ooh, what is this?" It's kind of like a party invitation, right? So I think that that's already a lost thing. People do get excited about something in the mail. And I think, yeah, you can text people, you can obviously say thank you in the moment, but what better way to spend the time in making it personal and saying like, "Hey, thanks so much for doing this. It's really made a difference." I constantly hear from our donors, they never question what we're doing because they're in the know. So one kind of a personal practice for me, for a first-time donor, they're always going to get a phone call from me within about 48 hours. I want to thank them, doesn't matter what size it is, and I want to know, how did you hear about us? Then you're going to get a follow-up with a handwritten thank you note and a little welcome pack that we create. These are just such a really cost-effective, budget-friendly way that is most impactful than a pre-printed letter. And it doesn't take much time. So
So
love it. Do it every week.
So I've got a quick question for you, Ashley. You said it's impactful. How do you know that? Is that just made up or is this real?
Well, because I said so. But no, so I think that it's something, you guys teach this too, ask questions, listen, what people are going to tell you, right? Just in talking to your donors, you're going to hear what's important. I want to ask not only about, their philanthropic interest, but what's going on in life. One of my favorite ones that I did was probably in the fall. I was meeting with a donor. They'd mentioned that their 50th wedding anniversary was coming up on January 1st. So as soon as I left that meeting, I emailed myself a reminder, and it gave me plenty of time. And I reached out to some of our campers, and I had their parents help me, and I asked the kids to give marriage advice. So my question was, what does it take to be married 50 years? So they all wrote little notes. We decorated this, I think gold is the 50th anniversary color. So we decorated this gold box and filled it with marriage advice from the kids. And it said, like, take her to fancy dinners and buy her nice things, or always say she's right. It was all really funny. And by their 50th wedding anniversary, that gift was at their door. It was all cheap stuff, but they said that that was their favorite gift they've ever received. And they're like, I can't believe that you remembered that. Right. So just take notes. I always tell people, like, really be listening. Maybe they're talking about a scary procedure coming up or someone passed away. I use social media for those kind of things. People brag about big life events, or they tell you about scary life events. And those are perfect times to send cards as well.
Wow.
That's great.
So, boy, I don't know.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I don't know if this even fits, but have you ever had a handwritten note backfire?
I mean, I guess when their address isn't up to date and then it keeps just getting sent back to me. But then usually I text them a picture and say, I've really tried to send this to you, So really that's about it. No, people aren't typically upset about something like that in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
one of the benefits of the handwritten note versus the mail merger, the classic email merger, is you never accidentally send a hello first name. Instead of hello Ashley, hello first name.
They don't accidentally call me Billy or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it's a little off-putting because I receive those, and I mean I send them too, and technology has its issues, but it is a little off-putting when it's like, oh, you tried, but you didn't get my name into your database. But handwritten note eliminates those problems. Let's in that same vein, let's talk about what makes the handwritten note so impactful or unique compared to other ways that we might steward relationships, steward donors. What do you like about the handwritten note?
I just think it shows effort. Like you said, you can auto-populate. Everything's done like that. I know some organizations spend some money on some nice fonts that make it look like their handwriting. And it's like, well, we could all still tell, right? And if me and my neighbor were to compare the thank you notes and they say the same thing, well, it's not that special, right? So I like to do the thank you note. I mean, I'm personal. We're in Oklahoma, so it's OU, OSU. I'm an OSU grad. So if I'm sending something during football season, especially to an OU fan, I make sure and maybe address it with an orange marker, something fun for them, throw a little Go Pokes in there. But just make it personal. there's so many ways that just make it so easy. They'll want to see stuff like this. And I have examples too. I don't know if you guys want any of that stuff.
Yes.
Everybody's nodding. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think the way this is very cost effective for people. I think that this is a 4x6. I buy them in bulk. I have a few options. So just our logo on the front, and then I keep it clean on the back, plenty of room for writing. We have nice envelopes. We also they have our logo on them. Sometimes we'll put a picture of a kid, change them up. And then I have things ready to go. So I think pre-printed, but you sign and make a little note makes it easy. So we have birthday cards ready to go. They say 4 out of 5 people get money in their birthday cards. Well, happy birthday, number 5. Because they're not getting any money.
That's great.
There's cards about just kind of thinking of you. We serve a population that is medically fragile and have a lot of tough things going on medically. So that's a great one for us to have. Congratulations. So these can be used for both our camper population and our donors. We have just a quick thanks, and we appreciate your support. This one is a feel better. Says, we heard you were sick, so we made you get well cupcakes, but then we ate them, so just get well. So, just silly things. They're ready to go. You can order these. The more you order, the cheaper it is. So just don't plan on moving soon and needing to change your address. But this is something that is just an employee culture here. So in the employee orientation, there is already addressed an expectation of handwritten notes every week. We want people to feel thanked, feel valued. We really operate off of about 600 volunteers a year. So without them, we can't fulfill this mission effectively. So in all aspects, we want them to be thanked personally, quickly. One of the things I hate is a thank you note, and you're like, well, what was this for? I forgot, So that's why every week we're writing something. And then something I started with our board of directors, you got to make it easy, but they'll help you out. So I had ready to go stationery. I already printed and put their address on the envelopes, got them, postage on there. And then I put a sticky note that said what we're thanking them for, so they could make it personal. And all the board members took a few of them, and we sent them out right before Thanksgiving. It's kind of the thank you season. So we like to do that. We like to do it around New Year's, maybe bring them a little something. But those are such cost-effective ways to share. I feel like that and a phone call are just the best things.
Yeah, that's good.
And I have some fun samples too of like even more creative past a thank you note.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay. So I know you might say like, this isn't relevant to my mission. I don't know how I could do that, but you really could, and we could think about it. So we serve children with chronic illnesses and life-threatening illnesses. I tell them, so they pay $0 to attend, but if they had to pay, they would pay $915 to attend our camp, but they pay 0. So I always remind them of that. And I tell them, like, I could tell a donor thank you all day long, but it means nothing if they don't know what it means from you. So I have them write, every single kid at our camp writes a what camp means to me letter. So they write what they learned, what's so special to them. And so we assemble a book. Again, this is all done in-house. It's nothing we're paying for. You can buy these little kits. It's the backing in a clear font with a little spiral. There's a little machine. You just put it together. It does it for you. It's super easy, but we print a little. So this is like kids at camp. It's personalized to the donor. Has a quote on here. It says, we must find time to stop and thank people who make a difference in our lives. JFK. We put a personalized note. Myself, the camp director, our founder, sign them. And then it is full of thank yous handwritten from the kids.
Wow.
This could be, I don't know what your organizations are. It has their little photo. This could be, you know, maybe it's adult who is served by your organization. Anyone who's been impacted could write a testimonial. I love the girls because they take the time to like make it colorful and rainbow. So this is just completely full of letters from them with their faces on them. You know, they could all like the spelling could be awful, and then but someone took the time to write it and they're gonna love it. So this is one of my favorite things that we do. People collect these. And then I think about too, like, what do some of our donors like? We have one donor, he wants to collect all the things, right? He's the person that has the million trophies. He's got to show you the stuff. He likes the stuff and likes things personal. So I've been working on this for a while. This is just a cheap plain notebook. Didn't even have a cute cover. I gave the kids washi tape and I said, hey, will you decorate this cute for a donor? They covered it in washi tape. Put our little Cabot Kids sticker on here. And then I've been passing it around and I say, hey, you know, this donor, we're thanking them. You know, they do this. They've been writing little notes along the way. They also, this family does not have social media. And we posted a Thank You Thursday post featuring this donor and the impact they've made. It included this photo. I did have permission to use their photo, but I printed out all of the comments that people on there, the little emojis they commented with, all of the comments that they wouldn't see on social media, I put in here for them. So this is, I mean, I think this book cost me 99 cents and some washi tape is like $2 a roll. So it's super easy. I just take it with me and I say, hey, would you write something in this? You know, and I'm going to give it to them this Christmas and it's going to be beautiful. So just some ideas.
Wow. What great ideas. So you've shared some ideas, some hints, some tips. In just a minute, we're going to ask people to, if you have a question about Handwritten Note, or even the broader topic of, you know, I like to think about this as stewardship, as it was donor stewardship, volunteer stewardship, whatever. But if you would go ahead, if you have a question, put it in the chat box. I know we already have one. We'll circle back to that in just a minute. And as Erin mentioned, be thinking about a top takeaway. What's one thing that you can put to use? Because I'll tell you right now, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I mean, if there was a guilt meter, mine would be off the charts. And actually, both you and Erin's really excellent at the handwritten note. And I will tell you, I have a kind of a glass like trophy type case. And one of the things that I have in my trophy case is one of the notes that I've received from Erin. I could put a whole collection in there and fill the thing up. But if you guys okay if we go ahead and start with some of the questions in the chat box?
Yeah, you know, I was going to say one thing too, you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed, I love this, so I have a lot of energy about it. But how I first started, because when I first started, they said, we need you to write 3 to 5 thank you notes a week. And I said, gosh, I don't even know anyone. How do I do that? So as I went through the day and someone did something nice, or I heard, you know, any little thing that popped in my head, I just wrote down their name. So then when I sat down on Friday and I wrote those thank you notes, I knew who to write to. Once you get to know your donors more and you're interacting with them, you're seeing gifts coming through and you're just really building that relationship with them and you know those important things happening, it's a lot easier to do. I don't have to have the checklist anymore.
Wow. Man, that's so practical. Gary wrote a question. By the way, Gary, it's always great to see you. Thanks for building this into your day-to-day. But he said, how do you raise the quality of the thank yous by the kids? Unfortunately, we can't use the children's photos. What do you recommend? So in some circumstances, you know, that would be kind of some privacy issues there. But any thoughts, suggestions on that?
So it kind of broke out some for me. So the question is, we can't use the photos. What do you recommend?
Yeah.
I think that's okay. So you could still have people write just letters, They don't have to put their name on it even, just a letter of what the service means. We take clips just of the handwritten bits and use it in some of our marketing materials too. So I think if they're okay with knowing, hey, we won't share your name or your personal information, I think that's okay too. I think the fact that it's handwritten is what makes people think, oh, that's special.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say what Eileen just put on the screen. Have the kids do a crayon drawing, a stick drawing of themselves. So just let that take the place.
Yeah, a little self-portrait.
Right. And if we can't use the name, you can use the initials. They can make up a nickname for themselves. We can create a nickname for them, but there's no substitute for the person, the person centric that goes with that. So we've got a couple of people that have said, okay, so my handwriting is atrocious. So I want to ask everybody real quick to turn your screen on. And if that phrase describes you and you want to self-identify, and I'm going to be the first, because however bad yours is, mine is worse. So anybody else? Yeah. So mine's not good. So what do you do when you feel like your handwriting's not that good? Any tips, Ashley?
Well, gosh, I feel like just as long as you can, I feel like some people write really tiny or really gigantic and sometimes it's sloppy, but I think if someone could make out the words, I think it's okay. I just don't really have a problem with the bad handwriting.
Yeah.
So if you can get the gist of it, that it says thank you in there, and I think you don't have to fill up the whole thing either. It's okay to leave some blank space in there, but we have all different handwriting. We have beautiful handwriting in the office. We have crazy handwriting. And I think if you can read the main words, I think you're okay. I don't know if it's really helpful to type it and then sign it, right?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts I'll just share. And one is, for me to make my handwriting enjoyable to read takes great effort and much time on my part. I will tell you, you can do a free personal handwriting font. And it takes a little bit of time, but you do it one time to create the font. It's free. But here's what I found. When I do that, I'm not doing my worst writing. In my case, it's print. It's not writing. I'm doing my best writing. And I can do that once. And like you said, Ashley, use few words, larger print, and go ahead and let it be it's a computer font, but it's my handwriting. I guarantee you nobody else would claim it's theirs. And here's the other thing. It's interesting. This morning, before I even came to work, I was reading a fundraising letter that I got in the mail. I think they used an 8-point font. I will tell you, I had to struggle. Literally, I had to struggle to even read it, not because it wasn't well written. It's just so small.
Yeah.
And all those examples you shared, nobody writes in 8-point font.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have jumbo writing.
So the bigger we write, the fewer words we use and the more meaningful they are. Let's see. Jim Schmidt.
I think too, if you struggle with handwriting, you could also think about, well, does your hand like really bother you towards the end of the day? Think about those logistical things. Maybe writing it, before lunch would be a good time whenever your hands aren't feeling crampy or something like that.
That's great. Yeah, so we've got a special guest here today. And if you don't know Armadillo Jim Schmidt, you need to meet him. Well, you just did. He's waving at us. So Jim says, are there non-thank you notes, and when and what? Ashley, what do you make of that?
So, like I said, I use social media not just for mindless scrolling, but to know what's going on with people. A lot of people write like scary things that are going on in life and they're asking for prayers, or really exciting things. And if you still watch the newspaper, there's announcements in there. Sometimes I'll cut those out and I'll mail it to the donor and say, hey, congratulations on this. Because sometimes they don't even know they're in the paper. But yeah, I think maybe someone went back to school and they just graduated. Maybe they just got into remission from cancer. Maybe they just bought a new house. Some kind of big life moment for people, just recognize those. Has nothing to do with a gift to us, but we kind of say like we're the Cabot Kids family, and when you're with us, you're family. Well, your family would tell you, you know, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. If you got married, they love to see that first piece of mail that has the Mr. and Mrs. on it. So just think about anything good or tough in life is a good time to send something to.
Yeah, I just pulled a kept this on my desk from a couple weeks ago. Got a thank you note, or not, it wasn't a thank you note. It was a happy birthday card from someone. Just sent it to me, said happy birthday. Wasn't, other than my birthday, wasn't anything special, but there was a handwritten note in there, and I keep those. Part of the benefit of receiving a handwritten note is, especially in leadership, we don't always hear positive reinforcement of the good times. When we're doing a good job, it's like that's the standard expectation. But we certainly hear about it when things are falling apart, when there's a disaster, a crisis. People are quick to write on the comment cards, suggestions for improvement. And those always seem to, get the greatest attention. I collect handwritten notes and save them. In fact, Doug Fields recommended this, and I've been doing this for probably 20 years now. But he says, sometimes you feeling down in the dumps and you just need some encouragement. Pull out those handwritten notes. Remind yourself of how many people are out there that think you're great, and then go back to the criticism or the critiques, the haters, and that's a great value as well. And writing the hand note, we're supplying those to other people. We are giving that encouragement. We're helping bring out the positive and not just criticize as well. So
I exactly agree with that. So some of our families will send us things just like good testimonials and stories and kudos to us. And I literally have an email file called Pick Me Up. And if I'm feeling down about something, I'll go read my Pick Me Up file. And then I keep handwritten things from people, and I take a little like a keychain ring, and I bind them all together and I put little ribbons on them, and I have them sitting out. And then people say, what is that? And I'm like, it's a bunch of thank you notes from people, or nice notes. It's kind of a good thing. One of the mottos I try to really live by is like, if you think something nice, say it, right? Because we're always like, oh, well, this could be better, or that wedding food kind of sucked. But if you're just like, hey, I like your shoes, or you did a really good job on that, like how much does that brighten someone's day?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, that someone would take time to write them a note to say, like, you were really awesome in this. Congratulations. I know you worked really hard for this. I don't know if like Oklahoma City leadership is a big thing, and they just had the new class come out and I knew someone in it, so just recognizing that, anything of those types of things, I think just means something special to people.
Wow.
And one thing I again just want to highlight, and Vicky mentioned this in the comments. Vicky said, I find a volunteer with great penmanship. I write the note, then they write them for me and send them out. But utilizing the entire team, Ashley, I love how you have that expectation for your staff to send out notes on a weekly basis. You help the board, all the board members, you set them up for success for notes, and then even engaging the campers. I mean, what a great way. But creating a culture of handwritten notes and gratitude is so important. And I think that's something that we can all do as leaders, whether we're paid or volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
man, so much good stuff going on here. You know, you talked about receiving notes from your friends. All of my friends sent me a note and I kept both of them. So it's really important. And one of the guys on the screen, I'll tell you, just yesterday in my office, I came across this note, and I received this with there was a gift card in it, and the note just said, "Sometimes your friends just need to know that they are." And he signed his name, Jim Schmidt. So Jim, thank you for that. Thanks for being such a great note writer. The note got noticed because it had a tasty gift with it. Thank you for that. Let's see. Somebody said, oh yeah, somebody else said, I draft my note on Word first to get my thoughts clear before writing the handwritten note, just to ensure that it's neat. Great thought.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, John. And that came from a Go Pokes. And actually, I think you need to put your fingernails up in the camera again. Yeah, look at that. I mean, is she serious about this orange stuff or what?
You know, sometimes people struggle with the content. So say it's a thank you note. So say someone just gave you a big gift. Like I said, I like to turn it around within 48 hours. And I'm writing, you know, just literally, thank you so much for your generosity. I'm just telling them thank you. Now, if it was earmarked for something and we spent that money, so they were giving it to Camp Cabot. After Camp Cabot, I go back and tell them, you know, thank you so much for that gift. I want to let you know that we had 165 campers this year. We had a great week, some kind of update that we did spend that money and here's how it went too. So sometimes there's a part two.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Annie Tomachek put a note. And by the way, Annie, great to see you. Thanks for sharing your note. She says, I have a beautiful box a coworker gave me a few years back that I keep actual notes in. Love it. Love the ring binder idea also. I'll tell you, I have if you've been in my office, you know, I have a chicken wire grid hanging on the wall, and I clip some of those notes up there. And when I walk by, that old rusty chicken wire from my sister's farm reminds me that somebody, at least once upon a time, appreciated something. And so for those of you who have sent me those notes, thank you, because it makes my day, just like Aaron and Ashley described. Aaron, do we have another question or comment?
Oh yeah. Eileen Babowski, she takes it to a whole nother level. She's talking about the Postal Service having difficulty catching up, and so she'll deliver the note in person.
Oh my goodness.
And man, again, in the digital age, it's so easy to not swing by the office that kind of seems like it's a lost art, but walking up, surprising someone, dropping it off, even if they're not there, leaving it with the front desk, I think just adds that personal touch and takes that to the next level.
Yeah. You know, you can think about too, like how to incorporate that with your mission. So for example, you know, we serve kids with chronic and life-threatening illnesses. Well, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So I've made little flyers that have different campers of ours that have battling cancer and just had a little impact story about them. And some facts about cancer. So only 4% of research funding goes to pediatric research. So just little facts about that. I'll tape it on the top of a donut box and go bring it to people, you know? So just think about something, how you could incorporate your mission back in that gift. We have a donor who is a distributor, and they give us a bunch of wine every year. So we'll take those bottles of wine. We'll do a Happy New Year's note. Thank you so much. Cheers to, here's what we're looking forward to in 2023. Drop them off a bottle of wine. It's a cheers. It's a thank you to them, and telling them, like, here's all the things to look forward to this year.
Brilliant.
If I could be out with donors and doing things like this all the time, I would not be here.
Yeah, so let's just take that thought for a moment and pause. And I want you to think about what Ashley just said, because that's what you get paid for. and that's what your organization gets paid for. When we're generous with our time and our thoughts and our words, it causes other people to be generous as well. And you can look at that from an obligation standpoint, and even if you do that, it doesn't take that much to stand out. But if you're doing it from an authenticity standpoint, and with the joy and the enthusiasm, Ashley, that you've shared today, people can't ignore that. And people like to hang around with people that make them feel good. And even if it's that you made some cupcakes and you ate them and they sure were good and you just get the card, I mean, what a great way to bring a smile to somebody's face.
Yeah. I think too, one other thought. So if you maybe have a small organization, so we don't have a large staff here, and my dad donates every year. I always ask him, hey, will you sponsor this? Will you sponsor that? And he does it. But I was like, hey, and I asked, I was like, will someone else, would you call my dad and say thank you? Like, he sponsored these hats we really wanted for beach camp. And I kind of feel lame asking him and telling him thank you. So one of our board members called, said thank you to him. Then another check came. I said, Dad, you already paid for that. And he said, oh.
And I think we lost the audio again there for a minute. While Ashley's
They want to be thanked too. So you got to be creative on how, got to thank those people close to you too.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways that kind of is a great segue to Jim's question. Do you differentiate the notes between a $10,000 donor and the $25,000 donor? What do you think, Ashley?
It's all the same, because if you really stretched to give us $5 this month, I find that just as valuable as someone that gave us $25,000 because they have a really big checkbook, right? So the thank you note is really the same, because how I truly feel is it made a great impact either way. Now, what their levels can provide are different. But the thank you and that heart of the message is still the same. Now, are they going to get a bottle of their favorite? Yeah, they probably will. You kind of think about those offerings, things that you might provide, but sometimes your greatest donor is maybe sending you $10 a month and leaves you in their planned giving. You never know.
Yeah, great point. And we're in the last few minutes. One of the things we always try to be faithful on is 47-minute webinar lasts approximately 47 minutes. But one of the things we want to be sure that we have a chance to hear feedback, and that is, what's your top takeaway? So in the chat box, if you'll just jot down one thing that you'd say is a top takeaway. And while you're at it, if you have a tip that you haven't already shared, feel free to put that in as well. While people are doing that, we'll circle back to some of those. But Aaron, you want to just give us a little bit of an idea of some of what's coming up?
Yes, we'd love to. We have, I think what's first coming up is we have a couple asking academies. We have October 24th and 25th, we have our Asking Academy, the Classic, which is in person coming up. That summit is in Tulsa. And ideally, the Classic is for teams of people. So if you want your team, both volunteers and staff, to master the art of conversational fundraising, specifically major and mega gifts, we should be talking about the Asking Academy. And if you don't have a team or you can't make it, but you want the virtual experience, we do have the Express that's in November. So if you're interested in either one of those, just type in Asking Academy into the chat, and let's talk offline. We'd love to do that. We also have another webinar coming up.
Real quick for that.
Yep.
If you want an excuse to write thank you notes, handwritten notes for larger gifts, the Asking Academy is designed for you. And in fact, I was with one of our Asking Academy teams yesterday. My goodness, right now we're having to navigate how to possibly adjust the gift chart and perhaps even the campaign goal, because the results that they're getting are so far beyond expectation. And I mean, the impact, that's one of the things that just motivates me to keep doing what we're doing with the Asking Academy, because it does make such a big impact. So anyhow, Aaron, sorry to interrupt you there, but
No, you're
so
good.
recent, I just wanted to share it.
Yeah, and if you're curious, go to askingacademy.com. That'll give you a nice little overview of what the Asking Academy entails. Next month, we're doing a special 47-minute webinar for millennial fundraisers, how to interact with generations that have gone on before you. Sometimes there's generational gaps, and so we're going to be talking about how to bridge that gap in context of fundraising. So that's October 10th, 47 minutes, 10 o'clock to 10:47 Central Time. So love for you to join us for that.
And just for clarification, my name and my picture's on there. I am not the millennial fundraiser. One of those people is, but it's not me. Just for clarification.
I'm a cusper, so right in between the Gen X and millennials.
So let's go to the chat box. And actually, I'm gonna stop sharing again for a minute here. Let's go to the chat box and see what are some of the takeaways.
Someone's pulling out their colored pens, getting creative and artistic with the notes. I love it.
Eileen, did you really say that? Something so simple can go so far. Thank you, Eileen, from the Sewing Labs. What else we have, Aaron?
This takeaway: the power of personal note is more powerful than most realize. Keep sending them, and it's amazing what can happen.
Great reminder. Thanks, Gary.
Let's see. Oh, the 48-hour turnaround. Yeah, keeping it fresh, keeping it relevant and quick. Making them close and accessible. Let's see. Tip: personal notes are so appreciated, and the more personal, the better. You don't need to have an occasion. Just let them know you're thinking of them. Or as Ashley said, check the paper and social media. Yesterday, I was able to congratulate 3 winners of the Chamber Small Business Awards, and they were so appreciated that I noticed. Yeah, it's wonderful. Creativity, personalization, timelessness. Oh, I guess Sean Copeland is sharing your Asking Academy. That's from Armadillo Jim. I don't know about that, but thanks, Sean. I really like a short video message on the phone. Oh yeah, it's another good way to put a personal touch to it. That's Jesse over at Project Rescue Foundation. Yeah, I'll just drop in my little tip. If I'm writing notes to really engaged volunteers or staff that's a part of the organization, sometimes I'll shift from company note to just a generic one that says, thank you, just so they know, hey, I went out of my way. I'm not using a company provided stationery, just to make it a little more personal. Just saying this isn't an obligation that I'm doing, but I really mean thank you. And there may be times that that's appropriate, times that it's not, but
wow,
lots of great takeaways.
Yeah, and Jim reminds us that the Apostle Paul wrote notes to churches, and they were sure effective a whole bunch of years ago. So to bring it current as we wrap up, one of the things that we always have is just a pledge to act. So Ashley, you've been so generous to share your time and your great expertise. I got to say a great big thank you to you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. And so I want to ask everybody to take this pledge to act in this way. Please today write a thank you note to somebody that has contributed to your life. Now, if you haven't written this down, I'm going to give it to you. cavettkids.org. That's CAVETTKIDS.org. If you want to send either a snail mail or an email response to Ashley, I'll bet you can find her email address there, and I know you can find her mailing address. Aaron, thanks for putting that in the box. But there may be somebody else that you say, you know what, I've been needing to write them a note. And what if it goes to their actual mailbox and they don't check it for weeks? There's going to be a really great surprise waiting for them when they finally do get around to going to that mailbox. So yeah, do something with this. And if seriously, if you do something with it and you find that it enriches your life or the life of somebody else, send Ashley a thank you note. Because Ashley, you've invested 47 quality minutes in the lives of all 28 of us who have been a part of this webinar today. And by the way, if the webinar is something that you could recommend to a friend, please put a like on LinkedIn or send a link to somebody, send a note. We really enjoy sharing these kinds of things. Aaron, you do a great job of inviting people into the room. And I know I always learn something. So real quick, show of hands before we get to 47 minutes. If you'd say you've learned one thing that can make your life more rich than it was before, you click an icon or just show the hand in front of us. Oh yeah, we've got people with raising hands in all different forms. So, Aaron, as we wrap up, anything else, any closing comments?
Just another thank you to Ashley. It's wonderful seeing you guys all on the Zoom call today. Yep, feel free to invite your friends, like Kent said. I will be posting this online once we get it downloaded and all that stuff for feedback. But thank you all. 47 minutes is up. Look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you.
See you then. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.